Would you envision,
I'm gonna
uh,
record this so I don't have to take notes if
Oh,
you don't mind. Yeah,
sure.
I should
would
have.
you envision kind of preloading it, if that makes sense? So, you're in your case prep, you're doing all this stuff, and you would just kind of put that cuff on and just, kind of preload it given the cadence of your procedure.
Yeah, I think you absolutely could. Yeah, like
Yeah.
for procedures that have, like I was talking with Tiger, I do a lot of like lapiplasty. I
Yeah.
know, I mean, they usually have the back table have all the wires marked and the order, but I mean, if I had a few things I knew I was going to grab in sequential order, I mean, yeah, that could save definitely tons of time that adds up.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and I can see this being useful for instrumentation too. Um, your graspers and stuff you're going to be using on a fairly
Yeah.
regular basis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
needle driver, you got 4 steps. I can just
Yeah,
grab and
and
snag
it's
and go.
just the less times you have to change hands,
Mm-hmm.
the less
Adds up.
opportunity to drop and ruin instruments. Yeah, cool.
Any, so before we leave Magmate, Dinesh, are you thinking we're gonna prototype this or Francesca's gonna go to a hardware store and try the first shot?
Um, I mean, I can prototype it, but if it helps just for you to explore that to um, get more sketches, I think that McMaster would help. Francesca, if otherwise, I can uh, order some, put some together, and then send it to you. But it
Yeah,
would
I mean,
be,
I can order from McMaster if you have any direction or insight on where to kind of start material wise. I'm happy to start
yeah,
buying
Yeah,
and playing around with it for sure.
yeah,
yep, I can provide you those details.
Appreciate that.
But
yeah.
that's
I
probably
mean, you
where I would
could
start. Yeah,
test the design in a cadaver lab very easily, right?
Yeah.
That'd be super easy.
Or even just like she said, back table, just a
Yeah.
non-sterile room somewhere.
Yeah, I'll
Hmm.
just have a rep bring me a
Yeah,
tray
with the
and
tray, yeah, exactly.
in my office and I'll just play with it and see what works.
I
Yeah.
mean, the key here is magnet. We're gonna need strong magnets.
Hmm.
And I'm looking at McMaster. It may be a series of magnets, a
Mm,
series of little, they look like chiclets kind of,
okay.
and sewed into, a strip, probably, yeah. Because the magnet's gonna have to hold the heaviest instrument you would attach, and it's
Right.
gonna also have to, the adhesive's gonna have to be strong enough to withstand whatever, how many ounces the instrument is too.
Hmm.
So,
Good point.
yeah. All right, good stuff.
Excuse me.
yep. Okay, so moving on to the next design, calcaneal osteotomy system. Um, can you kind of walk me through, so is this like, I've seen this distractor, a compressor distractor with the hinge.
Yeah.
What features are we adding to this that makes it unique, you're suggesting?
So I've never seen one with the hinge. I kind of mimic Treese's distractor for visual purposes, but
Got it.
it would just be like, and there, it's not a pin distractor like theirs, but I've never seen one hinge. So does that exist already? Like you can push a button
Um,
and drop it down 90 degrees?
there's like the Hinterman distractors. I mean, not this style, but I think I've,
Okay.
yeah, I can do some research too.
So so yeah,
Yeah.
I'll walk you through it. I kind of would go maybe to the middle image first, in the middle, second one down to the left. So this would be this everything would be kind of conducive to one set. And it's cut guides for an Evans calcaneal osteotomy, a posterior calcaneal displacement osteotomy, and then also a distractor for the Evans osteotomy. So preoperatively, you usually have to mark out your calcaneal cuboid joint and then kind of roughly measure 1.5 centimeters proximal to that, get an idea, then dissect. And then I kind of usually remeasure again once I'm looking at the bone to make sure I'm accurate. With this, that rectangular piece on the left center would be like made out of PEEK, so it'd be totally like translucent, or not radio opaque. So you'd be able to radiolucent, you'd be able to shoot right through it on X-ray. But those vertical lines to the far left, and then the two slotted vertical lines would have like metal on the side. So you would see those, and those would be at like your 0 centimeter mark, your 1.5 and 2 centimeter mark. So you could on X-ray it's kind of like having like a ruler already without using that crummy little flexible paper ruler they give you in the OR. So you have a nice stable ruler and you can pin it, look on X-ray, and then have your exact measurements, know exactly where to, dissect, make your incision, and you're right down to bone. And then when you're ready to make your osteotomy, you can put it right back on where it was. And then you have that cut guide, that slat is like raised, so you don't have to worry about the angle of your saw blade, making sure you're staying perpendicular to the calcaneus for the cut. You just drop it in that blade, you're 1.5 centimeters from the joint, and you can just pop right in, pop right out. That was kind of the idea with that cut guide. And then any questions on that, or do you want me to?
So just a quick point, Doc. So this would be like a cut guide that is set on the calcaneus, right? And with the 4 pinholes. And would these slots be like translatory, or is this like fixed in position?
Fixed in position.
Okay, so this is the cut. This is the slot for the saw, right?
Correct. Yep,
Okay,
and it would be exactly, you'd line up the one end right at the 0, right at the calcaneal cuboid joint, which is 0, and then the slot would be 1.5 centimeters, proximal to that joint.
Okay, so this is the 1.5 centimeters, this distance?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's probably not to scale. It's just.
Got it. Yeah, understand. Yeah. And so what is this design then? What am I seeing here? Is this just like, this is just raised so you can give you some, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, so the first image is looking like straight at the cut guide as if it was like on the lateral wall of the calcaneus. And then I just drew it so if it was laid down on the back table, it has those 4 raised prongs so you could grab it with your hand easily and position it. And then they're cannulated, those 4 vertical portions on the ends. And so you could drill right through it with K-wires to fixate it to the calc. And then the slot guide for the cut is raised up so that again your saw blade cannot wag medial or lateral, so you make sure you are completely perpendicular to the bone if that cut guide's flat on the bone.
Got it. Okay. Now is the distance between and you said this would be at the CC joint pretty much?
Yeah.
Okay. And is that distance 1.5 and 2, is that pretty typical from a clinical standpoint, or would you
for that osteotomy?
Okay,
it's usually 1.5 centimeters. I mean, give or take a couple, but based on somebody's anatomy. But for majority of them I've done, it's typically 1.5, and you're safe.
Okay, so if we were to design, you would not envision having variability in those slots, basically pretty much like either 1.5 and 2. So okay, so it's a fixed angle; it's not moving.
Correct.
Not fixed angle. I mean fixed in position. Okay.
Right. Distance.
And then one on the right side are the cut guides for Evans.
So the one on the right would be a cut guide for a posterior calcaneal displacement osteotomy.
Oh, got it.
Yep. So then same concept, you would be able to, the whole thing's radio opaque except for the vertical slat line, which would have metal on either side, and again raised so you're controlling your angle. And then you would be able to pin it if you wanted right over on the lateral calcaneal wall, take your X-ray. You'd be able to just see your line and not the rest of the guide, and then you can make your dissection, take it off, reflect the periosteum, throw it back on, make your cut, and then you're in and out.
Okay, and I'm envisioning this would have some kind of anatomical contour, the bottom side where it goes on the bone.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of almost making the top and bottom maybe like a baby Holman retractor, where it kind of retracts and kind of hugs over the top and bottom as well, if you didn't want to pin it, or just in addition to pinning it and holding the soft tissue envelope back. This way it's not just, it's not just totally flat. You have to be a little curve.
Got it. Okay. All right, so that's easy enough. Yeah, straightforward.
Yeah, and then the distractor would be more just for the Evans procedure. And the whole, I guess, concept of the distractors, whenever I do like an Evans, typically I'll use like a Hinterman. You throw the pins, it's fine. It opens everything up. But usually the distractor is like in your way when you're trying to tamp in the graft. Like you always kind of have to finagle, and then it's like the graft goes in, and then maybe it's up or it's down. You're like trying to work around the stupid retractor that's blocking you. So I was thinking, what if you had a retractor that, one, it had paddles instead of potentially like hurting the bone or weakening the bone by drilling holes in it. If it just had anatomic paddles that were, about the size, the length and width of that area of the calcaneus, you're putting it in very thin, super thin, like a little sharp osteotome almost. You tamp it in there, and then you're able to open it up without, compromising the walls of the calcaneus. And then once you get it to your desired opening, it would also have like a measuring like device on the like as you're opening the threads and the arms, you would be able to see roughly how big of a graft you needed. Like if you open it up to 9 millimeters, you're like, okay, I'm probably need a 9 millimeter graft for this. And then when you go to, after you trial size and everything, you can go ahead and, or even before you trial size, you can hit this little button and then just hinge the whole thing down 90 degrees. So the arms are still in the osteotomy, keeping it open, but you hinge the whole thing down so it's just out of your way. So now you have unimpeded access to insert your graft, do your trial size, and then if you want to fixate it as well without having to do it all around
Got it.
that retractor.
So when we put in the trial, just so that just for my understanding, so there would be some width to this, right? Maybe a millimeter or so for the width of those paddles, right?
Yeah.
So if you're distracting 10 millimeters, that 10 millimeters includes the thickness of the paddles on each side. So let's say
Correct.
then the gap is only 8 millimeters.
Sure.
Right? And then you would put a trial that says 10, but it's actually 8 to kind of get your measurement. And then after you set with everything, when you put the graft, would you have to like take this off, or how would we put the graft on with the compressed distractor still distracted? Would you like put the graft at a different location, or?
No, ideally you would be able to tamp it in, and then you may just have to kind of like apply pressure as you tamp out or back out the distractor. I'd have to see how that works.
Got it.
Yeah.
So it's almost like when you put the graft in, maybe we need to extend a little bit more, put the graft in, and then get the graft compressor out, and then let it collapse to the graft.
Correct. Correct.
Got it. And these paddles, are you thinking of made of stainless steel? I assume it's a repeatable instrument.
Correct.
All right, and that 90-degree hinge, is that something that needs to lock at different angles, or do you want it to be free floating as you?
I think it could be free floating. As long as it's just out of the way, it just literally needs to just be able to drop down. So I don't know that you're going to ever use it at any other angle.
Okay. So it can go from 0 to 90 degrees and doesn't have to be locked at any position.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. Yep. That's straightforward too. I can design that pretty quickly. Shouldn't take much time.
Do the paddles need any kind of rough surface or should they be very smooth?
I would almost go with smooth.
Okay.
I definitely wouldn't want them rough on the portion that's going to contact the graft as you put it in, so it doesn't grip the graft, and you can hopefully just slide the compressor out after you kind of loosen it and slide it right out. Could maybe have a little texturized surface on the portion that touches the calcaneus.
It makes sense. But polish on the inside.
Yep. Okay. All right, that is straightforward too. And this would be something like a lead screw. Is what I'm thinking, Tiger.
Yeah.
The 2 pins.
Yeah, just with the different threads directions. Yeah, that'll work. Very simple. So we're looking at 3 different instruments here, right?
Yeah, the biggest thing was the distractor, but then me and my colleague, Dr. Butto, were talking about, well, okay, I don't know if distractors or retractors or any of that. I have no idea if there's profitability in that. So we were like, what if we made like kind of a comprehensive, system where you could use this for your distraction, then you had a couple cut guides at your leisure as well. So I don't know if the cut guides are, I don't know if there's any weight to that, or if that's just, not great, but the distractor was kind of the most helpful aspect of this.
Yeah. And just to kind of understand the business side of it, if we were to sell this instrument, right, this would, I'm assuming, would be like made out of a material. I think there's something called XF by Solvay, which is pretty hard material that some, people use it for disposable instruments. Is that what you're envisioning, like packaged as a disposable distractor with cut guides?
I
That
think
you-
so. It seems like how everything's going these days, but I didn't know how much in terms of like how much it costs to produce this, and then it's going to cost for them to purchase for a disposable instrument, or if it's something you buy and it's part of a tray, if you make it
It's-
out of steel. But
Yeah, it's only a business model if it's disposable.
okay,
Yeah, I mean, that's the short
fair.
answer. If it's a autoclave tray, those instruments are given away on consignment for free, and it's not a business. Yeah, it's
Gotcha.
yeah,
So
all-
yeah, I mean, I've seen those like plastic distractors. I've seen for some of the bunions. I forget that one company's name, Relage, RELAJ, I think. So maybe it's made out of a cheaper plastic component, and then has metal. Well, I guess you'd still make the whole thing out of plastic, but
yeah, there's
Hmm.
fillers. There's like glass fillers and things in the plastic that
Mm.
makes them really strong and
Okay.
tough. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think like a Delrin or something like that could work.
What's
Right.
that? I'm unfamiliar with that. What's it?
Delrin's it's just a hard plastic they use
Oh,
for
yeah.
like handles for driver sets and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Gotcha.
In the old days, they made tibial trowels out of that for total knees.
Oh wow.
At a Delrin, yeah.
Delrin, yeah, those,
Oh, wow.
I don't know what they do today, but back in the old days, that
Today it's all Radel.
Radel,
It used to be
okay.
Then now Ultimate, I think, round of business something, but Radel. So there is like off late what I've been kind of watching just in the industry, companies came out with these joint prep kits. Are you familiar with that, Doc? Have
Mm-mm.
you used those? This is one of the examples. So I think a lot of companies are doing this. They come up with these 4 or 5 instruments and they're selling it as a kit. That
Oh,
includes a fenestration drill, cup curettes, orthodomes. I think Stryker also, I think Stryker or right before Stryker days used to have that. So I'm kind of thinking like, if you were to think of it as a joint prep kit, would you like, is that something that you envision using? I mean, do you need other tools with this to be used, or when you're doing these procedures, so that you can kind of kit it as a set for that, or would you just, if you're using a distractor, would everything else be available from other companies? Oh, that's what I was kind of thinking at. See.
sure. Yeah, so I guess it depends. So if you just doing the procedure itself, I mean, you just need saw blade, probably some osteotomes, and that's probably it just from your normal, foot tray stuff. Now, if you're talking about then incorporating this with a company that sells the grafts, then you could have, the trial sizers, the graft, and then it's like all in one, everything you need for any calcaneal osteotomy there with the grafts and the trial sizers, then you could kind of cluster it together. But really, the procedures themselves are just kind of cuts. The graft is kind of the other end of that procedure.
Got it. From a value standpoint, if you were to supply this as a disposable, if you add like a saw blade, or if you add like something to it, is that something that, again, this is for Chris and Tiger and everybody else, just to see if there's some value in kitting it with other instruments versus selling it just as a distractor.
Yeah, so we're looking for the best combination of disposable tools. So we don't want to put too much in the kit because nobody wants to open a kit and just throw away saw blades, And then we don't want to put too little in the kit so that you're going to be reaching for other things anyway. So I think what Dinesh is asking is where's the happy medium of kind of most everything you need for an Evans, or a calcaneal, osteotomy and, in one peel. That's
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would say those things plus K wires, maybe osteotome,
Definitely the
and
K
then,
wires to
yeah.
pin it in place for sure. The problem is when you bring power into it, right, with the instrumentation, it's a whole different set of validations that you kind of have to do. So unless there's anything unique about the slots that would require unique instrumentation to make the cut, which I don't think there are. I don't see a ton of value in adding the instrumentation because they go to Medline anyway, and that instrumentation's there. I do think that this is, and I know the head of business development for that Unite line at Medline. That's a business they're really focused on and growing. And this would be kind of, and they do these kinds of kind of tuck-in acquisitions all the time. So I mean, I think if you kitted, and they love kits, everything they want, Unite wants is kitted. So if you came up with, this simple, distractor and 2 cut guides as a kit, fully sterile with K wires to do the pinning, et cetera, that is right in their wheelhouse.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking. Get something. It seems like everything's kind of getting procedure based, like
Yeah.
to have it all ready to rock
Yeah.
in one quick swoop.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you need to have much more in it than what's here.
I
Some
agree,
K
yeah.
wires and stuff.
I mean, you've got a set of osteotomes that are, reusable that.
Yeah.
And they're expensive. The K wires are cheap. We can
Yeah.
add the pins and K wires.
Cool.
So there's three disposable instruments in the kit plus pins and K wires. Is that what everybody's saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. It's not overburdened, right? It's simple.
Simple, small, cheap.
And Dinesh, I don't think this is these molds aren't horribly tight tolerances or anything like that. I think this would be pretty easy to
Print it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose you could
Yeah.
print it. Yeah.
If you can print the tough plastic, I'm sure you can. I
Yeah.
would print, because you're not worried about the finish on it. It can be a little rough finish, I would think.
Yeah.
Right. The only exception would be in the areas where you would use a saw blade, we want something like metal contact there, so you would not have plastic shavings.
Yeah, you need a contact plate. Yeah, for sure.
Interesting. Good. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, everybody. I mean, this can all be 3D printed. I know there are companies. I know a couple of them who are actually 3D printing medical device instrumentation disposable, so we can kind of get in touch with them and see if they can help us make a couple of prototypes.
Wow.
Yeah, materialize.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's others. It's just interesting. I know that you can't answer this question, Francisca, but I was just get your opinion. What do you think, what would be the tolerance for a price on this?
Oh gosh.
I know.
I honestly have no idea.
No, it's,
To be honest with you, I have no idea what any of these like instruments like cost when I do like a Lapiplasty. I have no idea what the hospital's billing or getting billed rather, and
yeah, neither do I. And it's different.
I can find out.
Yeah, you can, ask your purchasing
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
I'll ask. Yeah, are there specific instruments you want me to get like price info on?
Just any sterile packed prep kit, like Dinesh was showing, I think
Okay.
would be a comparable.
Okay.
I mean, even Lapiplasty is one big peel, right? So
Yeah. Let me ask my rep.
that would give us and what the reason that's important, let's just say, I don't know, let's just say it's $1,500. I have no idea what it's going to be, but it tells us what our costs, we have to get the cost down to,
Sure.
150,
Possible.
150 something to make it work. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. you think this has legs though?
It's worth
Yeah.
it's worth, you know, trying to prototype and I mean, again, this is something that these companies will look at and they won't hesitate to tuck it in if it makes sense.
Gotcha.
So I personally think it makes sense to you know, do some drawings, and get some prototypes up and running and just, you know, look, feel, see if we can do it. And then just, you know, the other side of it is Tiger reference is tightening up the business model side. You know, what could we sell this for, and what we need to make it for to make a reasonable margin.
Yeah, look, I didn't explain the Bone Factory philosophy, but let me explain it to you. So
Sure.
we don't have any money, we don't have an office, we're just a bunch of guys. So the way this works is the surgeon or you and your partner would have to pay for the prototyping, and then
Sure.
and Dinesh will give you a great quote, you know, very detailed, and then we'll probably go through 2 or 3 iterations, and then we'll end up at a cadaver lab, and then we'll probably reach a kind of a go no go point, you know, where we'll do regulatory work on the back end. We'll also do patent feasibility on the back end, you know, all these things. And we're going to try to do this very quickly and see if we've got something or not. And then if we do, we'll need to fund it, because you know, we'll have to, if we want to turn into a real product, we'll have to get it into working prototypes. I think, Chris, we'll have to get this into a sterile packed, FDA cleared, and, you know, make the first 50 or something in order to sell it. I don't think we can sell it as a prototype. That's what I'm thinking. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
So I think if we, I mean, I don't think this is a horribly complex sterilization validation, so I don't think it's going to scare anyone, right?
Right.
I think, you know, we can do some pretty simple tray design, you know, a little blister pack,
Yep.
Tray design seal. But you know, again, this is the kind of stuff where you can kind of present that idea and actually don't have to go to market with something like this. If a Medline sees value in it, they'll just say, no, it's fine. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to kind of prototype it and do some prototype packaging and see how that feels. And then make a judgment based on, you know, we can have some early conversations. Again, it's not difficult to talk to these guys. I can talk to them pretty quickly once we have a prototype we want to move forward with. Normally, yes, this is, you know, you would want to get out there and sell and show market uptake, but this is just taking, you know, existing instrumentation and making it better and easier. And they should see the value in that right away. So I wouldn't want to spend too much money doing, you know, a full sterilization validation and packaging. I mean, packaging design and work is expensive, right?
Expensive, yeah. And tooling for blisters is expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. So
every blister you've ever seen, Francesca, there's actually metal tool. It's someplace, and they shrink the plastic on the metal tool. So, and building those tools is tens of thousands of dollars. So it's
Wow.
Yeah. And in prototyping this, if we can print it, that's great. But I mean, in high volume, I think you would want to, you know, build some steel tools to do proper molding. But
maybe Medline would do that. Maybe we could just get a rough prototype with a patent, file a provisional patent, and start that process, and then start shopping it around.
I think that's the route with something like this, Tiger, to be honest with you.
Good. I like it. So, more questions, Dinesh? I mean, you're the one that's going to do the heavy lifting here on sort of first prototype.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, from a design standpoint, it's pretty straightforward. I can put together a rough estimate of how much it would take for first round of prototype, and then we can kind of go from there. Like if we have to iterate or make changes, how much time it would take for me to. I can take a stab at the distractor and the cut guides, and the magnet. It's something that probably let me know if you want me to put something together, or if you like to kind of shop into the McMaster and then modify your design, then we can also go from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll play around and order some stuff from there.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's going to be, I really think it's going to be a series of little magnets the size of nickels that are going to be
Yep.
inside of the cloth. I think that's inside a sticky cloth or something.
Yeah, it
And-
needs to be malleable, right?
Yeah, it needs to be
Yeah.
able to bend, and yeah, each instrument would stick on one of the little nickels underneath. Yeah, I think you should take the first shot at the McMaster car and some sticky, some tape and stuff like
Sure.
that.
I can do that.
And what would be really good would be take that into a non-sterile area and just videotape. Have Dr. Budo videotape you putting things on and off, and see what instrument's too heavy, not heavy enough. Is it going to stick out and pierce your gown, things like that.
I can do that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there
meanwhile,
are some-
Dinesh will build a quote for time and cost to start making the guides.
Yeah. So agree. I can do that. And just to kind of get you started, maybe if you go into this.
Put in neodymium, whatever, how you pronounce that. Let's see. The rare earth magnet is what you want.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see.
Let me-
How much I think there is the ones with adhesive back to how much holding force do you need? Like there's some with yeah,
good.
this one, right? Neodymium.
Yeah, that's
Great.
it. So, yeah,
Neodymium.
that's the strongest earth. That's the strongest magnet on earth. They're dug up in China out of the ground, and they don't have to be pure or anything because it's going to be coated in plastic. They're nasty, dirty magnets, with lots of other elements in it, but they're super strong.
And
Okay.
this is like 3 inch by 6 inch feet. That's a lot.
Wow.
26 bucks. I mean, if you can go by 6 inch
Look at-
magnet, it's 15
look
bucks.
Try to look at little cylinders or plates. Yeah, let's see.
Without the adhesive, yeah, just magnets.
Magnets.
Good. Yeah. this one.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah, the first one, the 902, the first, I think that's what I envision, because like Chris said, it's flexible. It'll conform to your arm or forearm, and
Mhm.
I would even, and so Francesca, I would take a gown
Mhm.
and cut it, and then literally just stitch the magnets into little pockets, right?
Okay.
oh, that's a
that-
great idea. Oh,
Yeah. This one has an adhesive back too. You can
Yep.
use
And
that.
you could probably cut that strip into little squares.
yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's helpful.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, a gown or a drape or something like that, just something readily available. Something that's blue that people are used to.
Right.
All right. Cool.
Do you guys have any kind of rough idea of what kind of cost myself and my partner are looking at to bring these things to prototypes? I know it's super a loaded question.
It's a great question. I get asked a lot about that. Actually,
How bad
it's
is it,
kind of
Dinesh?
yeah. It's I just need a little bit time, maybe about an hour or two, just to kind of figure out model standpoint and
Sure.
bring it. How much design time? It again, it's pretty straightforward design. Yeah, probably 2-3 days of design time, and then for an instrument. If I say anything right now, I'm just kind of guessing out from my mind, but I can probably put that together quickly. And
Yeah, so there'll be two quotes, Francesca.
Okay.
There'll be a design quote where you'll get CAD pictures back and forth. And then there'll be okay, we've done this 3 times. Let's go ahead and let's print plastic now, and that'll be a different quote.
Okay.
Once the design settles down. And I don't want to put Dinesh in a box, but it'll be more than $1,000 and less
Of course.
than $50,000.
Okay. Yeah. Kind of where I was expecting.
Yeah.
And then patents is a whole nother thing, correct?
Patents
Cost
is
of that and
another thing.
attorneys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Patents are pretty cheap at the beginning. You can file a provisional patent usually, and I think it's 5,000 or less.
Okay.
You have to do a search first to see if there's prior art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would do that. I would honestly, I would get going on the patent side earlier rather than later, at least on the, you don't need to get a proper freedom to operate opinion, but you want to do a prior art search and just get a, even a verbal from a patent attorney that says, this looks like it's doable, or here's the art you're going to have to work around, because that obviously will affect design, right? So
Sure.
Most patents are pretty weak, where they're very narrow, and once you understand what a company's claims are, you can usually work around it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Good to know.
Yeah, it's the way. I'll probably introduce you to Andrea. She's really good at doing prior art searches really quick and cheap. And okay.
Yeah.
This is excellent, Francesca. I mean, your sketches are great. You're solving a problem. Tell them what you use to do this on an iPad again.
Yeah, I just used a program called Procreate. It's just an illustration program. I like
Cool.
drawing and doing art anyways, so I've not used it for like technical stuff like this, but it was pretty easy. I mean, you can like literally copy and paste images and it'll like cut the image for you. Like I kind of mimicked the distractor from Teresa's distractor in the Lapiplasty set. So I was able to like copy the image over, kind of trace it, then kind of erase it, and then kind of design from there. It was a pretty neat app.
Cool.
Yes. Okay.
All right, so we got everybody know what they have to do.
Yep,
Yeah.
we all got homework.
And when do you, since we're all here, can we schedule the next call?
Sure.
Dinesh, what do you think? 2 weeks, 3 weeks? What do you think? A week?
Yeah, I think by today's like Wednesday, I think by next Tuesday we should be able to set up a call to go over the code.
Okay.
Next Wednesday would be perfect. Yeah.
Next Wednesday is the 15th. And will she have sketches, you think, in 7 days to look at? CAD?
Yes, I can definitely do that. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll work on getting you some numbers before today's Wednesday, but before Friday.
Sure.
Then if you're okay with it, then I can start working on drawings. By Wednesday, probably some rough, just give you an idea. And then if you want to really look at the designs, probably give me like a week and then I can kind of go into the details.
Awesome.
Okay.
We'll do the same time a week from now. And all right.
Love it.
All right. Awesome.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time and consideration. It's like a super exciting venture, and it sounds like you have a cool setup. I love that it's just 3 guys with a bunch of connections and knowledge and industry expertise making moves. I love it. That's cool.
Well, the big companies are impossible to work with now.
Yeah.
The surgeons will put you in their legal and regulatory compliance team they'll put you in meetings for over and over. Nothing ever happens.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So the Bone Factory, we're fast, we're nimble, we're cheap, and we are honest with the surgeon. We will tell you if your baby's ugly, we will tell you.
Please do.
And so that's the difference. That's our promise.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to connecting next Wednesday then, 12:30. I got my homework and catch up
Perfect.
then.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys so
Thank you.
much.
All right.
Thank you.
Talk soon.
Yeah,
Good.
Bye.
Tiger and Chris, can you guys stay on to
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
next step? Thank you, Doc. Appreciate
See you
your
guys.
time. All right,
Yeah.
take care.
All right.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Yeah. Thank you for staying on. I just wanted to kind of share with you a couple of things, and maybe we can discuss in private, and then kind of see how we want to address. So Chris, I work with and Tiger, as you probably know, I worked with Medline. I worked with them in the past too. I've seen an instrument like what she was talking about in the past, not the one with hinges, but this is something that Inomed, you guys are familiar with the Inomed company?
A
Yep.
little bit. Yeah.
Inomed is-
Kind of generic. Yeah. Tool
Yeah, so
company.
they sell a lot of generic instruments. So, and I could not find exact. I am I probably speaking from a memory. I think I probably have seen something like a hinge design before. I know they have other companies have like retractors like this, like the hinge type designs.
Mhm.
So from a patentability standpoint, do you guys see any risk there with all this prior art in the market?
Well,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so that you don't want to discourage too soon, but
Yeah.
I think at a minimum she needs to get an FTO opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there is a lot of art out there now, that because there's a lot of art, it may be a non-issue with regard to the freedom to operate, but from a patentability standpoint, maybe combining the hinge with some other things, you could get a very narrow claim. But I think the novelty here would be to, it is more of a, I call it the Microsoft model, right? Just taking different things and putting them in the same package and getting it
Yeah.
out there and making it disposable and all that
Yeah,
fun stuff.
the value
Right.
is not the hinge. The value is the kitting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And
Exactly.
and I bet you a lot of these things are off patent. I bet they're more than 20 years
Yeah.
old. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All these are. I mean, yeah. The instrument she was talking about. I remember Medline had that. I was kind of looking up while you were talking. I was kind of looking up website to see if publicly they have something like that, because I cannot share anything that is non-public.
Yeah.
But I know they launched some time back. I don't recollect if they have hinges, but I was looking up just distracted, and this one came up from Inomed, which probably is what it was. So from a design standpoint, it's pretty straightforward. I can quickly put something together. That's the reason I was kind of alluding. Is this going to be like if you focus on like an Evans or a PCDO kitting prep kit that includes some simple instrument, would that kind of add more value, or if you just versus having just as an instrument? So that's why I was kind of wanted out, throw it out there for brainstorming. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So you work with who do you work with at Medline over there?
Oh yeah, I mean, like if it's business development, I mean, if it's Ryan Niver,
Ryan Niver and Jake.
Oh yeah, Jake, and
Yeah.
engineering side, Wes. Wes, I don't remember if Chris, you may not know Tiger before. When you were at Wright, Wes Reed was there,
Wes
right?
was there. Yeah, Wes was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
Good
way.
guy.
Wes and I were like, we were kind of co-engineers, and we
Okay.
kind of went paths, and he brought me back when we started Medline, when he started Medline group, and I helped with them on instrument and implants.
Yeah.
Great group. I mean, I think they're always open to ideas.
Yeah.
Very nice people.
And they're one of the few groups that doesn't need to see a revenue
Sales.
hockey
Yeah.
stick,
Urban
right?
adoption. Yeah.
Because they know what they can do with their distribution
Right.
channel. If it makes sense to tuck it in and it's a kit that they can sell, they'll do that all day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's
And
yeah,
from a sorry. So that's a good point. I think one of the things that always challenges with any company is getting a sterile product into the market, right? With all the bureaucracy that they have to go through, that would be where we can kind of bring in some advantage of moving fast. Even if it's 3D printed sterile pack, right? That would be like a quick market. And if you have a 510K behind it, that would be easy to fit into the company. They have to take, if companies like Medline or Stryker have to take that through market with their channels, that would be like 2-3 a project. And Stryker would be even longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just would want to get at least some understanding of interest before we spent money on a sterilization validation and packaging validation, right?
Got it. Yeah. And this is another company, guys, just from what I've heard, I didn't work with them directly, but designs that I worked on went through this to other companies. It's a company called 3D Logics. So just for your repository of resources, they, for something that, if you were to ever come across a 3D printing project, my assumption, and what I've heard from other companies, is that they make product that is used in the medical device instrumentation, right? Various fields. So it's just like bringing this material, approving it through 510K through a company, that would be the challenge. But they do it. There are other companies that use this company to make product.
Material choice will be really important because I keep hearing from startups that the FDA is just killing people over biocompatibility now. They're making people spend tens of thousands of dollars, squirting things in rats, and it's just for ridiculous materials that have been on the market for a long time.
That's true, Tiger. They may be like I could try to get contact, but they may have a massive file with the FDA, right, for the materials. Like here, they're listed. They work with Acumed, which makes a lot of foot and ankle stuff, as you guys know.
That's good.
Yeah. So, something to kind of probably tap into as a resource when we make that design for Francesca and then make a prototype. We can probably talk to them.
So one of my Bone Chat members is Andrea Davis. I don't know if you guys know her or not, but she's an independent consultant. She's not a patent agent, but she's really good at doing freedom to operate and kind of looking at the landscape. She's sort of the first person you go before you go to the patent attorney. I could either introduce Andrea to Francesca directly, or maybe bring her in on one of the calls to ask questions.
I think bring her in on a call and at least so we can also hear what questions she's asking and what her thoughts are on the FTO. Yeah.
Maybe I'll add her next Wednesday and give her 15 minutes. Okay. I'll bring Andrea in. Perfect.
That makes sense. Yeah.
She works with startups, so she's scrappy, doesn't waste money. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So just from a quote standpoint, do you like how we did for the other companies? I'll just put together a quote for prototype as a phase 1, and then send that over to you guys for your review. And once you're okay with it, then we can proceed. Cool. So Tiger, before Chris got on board, when we were working with Ted, our understanding was, we have not gone through revenue yet, but my understanding is that we add in addition to my consulting fee, we add your rate to it, and I bill it, and then because we don't have an LLC for Bone Chat yet, right? That's the assumption.
Right.
Okay. So use a similar channel for the
we're going through your LLC right now. So we'll just add a little admin fee on top of your fee. I forgot what we were doing with Ted. Was it like
so my consulting rate was $140 an hour, and I think you asked me to add $60 to it to make it to 200,
right?
So is that
that's fine. It's just an admin fee.
Right.
Does that work for you, Chris? And then we haven't figured out the equity piece yet, but if this has legs and you start shopping it around, we'll have to formalize, you know, what percentage everybody owns.
Right.
Yeah. That should be pretty
Yeah, that's right up your alley,
pretty
Chris.
simple. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. It's awesome.
Cool. And so
All
you've
right.
been, I mean, Dinesh, you've been in foot and ankle forever. What, you understand this stuff better than, you know, everybody. What, before you get on the line, I introduced you as one of the top 10 engineers in the country in foot and ankle. So, why do these things exist? Why aren't the other companies, you know, solving these problems? Is it just too early in the foot and ankle industry, or is it haven't been
I
a
think there are some versions. Yeah. So there are some versions of distractors, instruments in the market. I mean, it's just like some surgeons have a specific preference, right? There was other surgeons, you know, they want a specific clamp. It could be one of those things. But I have not seen because the calcaneal, you know, all these wedges been in the market forever, right? They've been using this graft systems for a long time. So they all have different type of compression instruments, distractor instruments. That's what I was kind of thinking. Like as far as the reach is concerned, like how attractive would it be? Because I've not seen anybody package it as separate, and that's the reason I was kind of thinking maybe there's value if you do it as for an ASC to learn how to bring the whole kit in, and it's cheap, couple $100 or $200-$300, and they can use it and throw it. So, but there are distractors, compressors and distractors in the market, several versions. So,
and then probably the answer is once people have thousands of kits of autoclavable trays, they don't want to disintermediate themselves with sterile pack kits. That's probably what's going on.
yeah.
Yep, it's a huge capital expense and they gotta amortize that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Wow. Interesting. I got good feelings on this one, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, look at a minimum, this is you know, a quick turnaround to one of these companies that is really into the kitting type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. So let's shift gears to Dr. Weiss and the shoulder balloon. I think we need to nudge him again. We kind of lost momentum on that one over the holidays.
Yep.
Where did we leave it with him? He's got a bunch of balloon shapes. I think you sent him like the 4th iteration or something of.
Yes, correct. And I also made changes to that iteration. So I have a slides that I prepared, and I'm going to email him today and then see if I can get a time with him to go over. I think where it would probably end up being is we can make a prototype. Like I think that's what we agreed to in our first SOW was that we will make a plastic, like inflated version of that concept for him to touch and feel. And if he wants to proceed from there, that's probably going to be another SOW where we need to engage a vendor or supplier who works with all these kyphoplasty type balloons, right?
Mhm.
So I think that I will reach out to him and then we can set up a call, share all the designs, and if he likes to proceed with one of the concepts, then I can do a quick 3D print and then close that SOW at that point.
Got it. Okay, I'm gonna send you. I just remembered. I met a guy on LinkedIn who is he's a startup guy in the balloon area, and I asked him where if we were gonna make 5 prototype balloons, where should we go? And he gave me 2 company names here. I'll put it in the chat. There it is, right there. Toba and Hoop Medical. Never heard.
Yeah, I've heard of Hoop. Yeah.
So that's his recommendations for like low volume prototype balloon manufacturers. So
Okay.
keep those notes if we get to the point where we have to pull the trigger and make some prototypes. It'll be two places to get quotes.
Got it. Okay. I'm just emailing myself so I don't miss it. Sometimes the chats,
I know
What
chat
you-
disappears sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Excellent. Well, this one's right in your wheelhouse, Dinesh. This is perfect.
Yep.
It doesn't conflict. The most important thing, it doesn't conflict any of your other projects, right?
No, it does not. And I don't have any non-compete agreements with any of the companies. It's my nature of business is, like it's.
Excellent.
I'm like a manufacturer, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I love it. Perfect.
So, anyways, got it. Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Yeah, that was a good call. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys. See you
Awesome.
next week. Okay.
Thanks, guys. All right.
Bye.
Bye.